right, good evening and welcome to another edition of Liberia Shall Rise. My name is Emmanuel George and I am being joined by Mr. Augustine Sharif, who is in Liberia, and Mr. Emmanuel Sapolosia. Today is Table Talk. That's when we have our conversation on topics that come to mind, like things, issues that are affecting Liberia, and the topic that comes to mind on this issue. So we're going to look at what was in the news, trending the news this week, and have a conversation around. Again, our panelists will be joining me. I have Mr. Emmanuel Sapolosi and Mr. Augustine Sharif. Mr. Sharif, how are you?
I am doing well, gentlemen. I'm super excited to join the discussion. So yeah, good to join you guys.
Good. Mr. Sapolosi, how you doing?
Oh, I'm wonderful. It's another beautiful weather in Houston. We are approaching summer, so we are going to enjoy the spring as we can.
Okay, so let's start a conversation. Mr. Sherry, when you feel comfortable, you can come in. Your screen is going up like you are dancing jitty ball with something up there. But when you are comfortable, I think you are frozen now. But this week we first of all start to hear news about what was going on in Liberia, and one of the trending issues in the country was judicial interference. Mr. Sharif, since we have you in, what did you follow the conversation?
Yes, I don't know if my internet is clear, but yes, I have been following the conversation. And basically, around every water cooler that you go to, the judicial interference have become a big issue in the country, and everybody is kind of taking sides. People are saying exactly, depending on what spectrum of the political arena you fall. People are saying it is acceptable. Some people are saying the president needed to do something, and other people are backing the president, saying there was no interference. And so the discussion is ongoing in the country as we speak.
Okay, so let's give a background. I don't know if you have the background, Mr. Sabolos, but let's try to find a background so that our audience, for those who are hearing it for the first time, can have an idea, and those who are not hearing it for the first time can refresh their mind. So, what's the background behind this this situation, Mr. Sapolos here?
So, if we can look at it from a neutral point of view and look and not trying to direct it at a particular person, because publicly it have not been seen that the president is actually interfering. So, I don't want to put something out there that is not there, but we know it stems from what is going on in the House of Representatives, where we have two speakers at this time. And initially, they asked the Supreme Court to interpret the law. And the Supreme Court, I think around November, December, said, you know what? Why it is true, this is something we can talk about. But in the layman term, y'all go solve your problem in your house. You guys are the big house. So we want to respect y'all. Y'all go to your house. Y'all go solve your problem. And they took it back and still did not find a resolution. And they brought it back to one of the parties in this, the elected speaker by the majority at the time of the House, Speaker Kofa, took his issue back to the Supreme Court. And at the end of March, the Supreme Court decided that, look, this decision made by the minority bloc, which I think about between 39 to 41 members of the House, were not in constitution or were not in line with the Constitution of Liberia, in that they were quoting Article 33 and 49, which gave the majority of those who can give or elect a speaker to be 49 representatives. Outside of that, anybody doing anything on the contrary is not in accordance with the Constitution. And there was some argument there, and I think we discussed it last time. But we have been hearing that the judges, the 5 judges on that particular panel, were all in agreement with their decision to came over. After that agreement, or after their opinions, let me put it that way, if you were to use their legal term, we heard that the president was calling some. And again, this is an allegation. I don't have any evidence to prove that the president did, but these are speculations and things that we heard that the president was calling some people in his corner, that is people in the Supreme Court, in his corner, to see how he can sway the decision from where it was heading. Because based on the five people coming up with their statement, it seems like Speaker Kofa had won this whole case, even though they were not giving any verdict. But based on their opinion, their initial opinion, we felt that we in the public felt that the Speaker Kofa has regained his speakership based on their opinion. But there was speculations and hearsay, they say that the president was calling some people to talk to, that is the Supreme Court, some members of the associate judges, to speak to them and see how they can sway that direction. I mean, to sway the decision in the opposite. Now, if we can give a little background of that as well, when it comes to the president's involvement in the whole legislative issue, we all can attest that when the whole thing started around, I think August, September, we saw that there was the president and the speaker, Kofa, were in Italy, in Rome, talking to the Pope, because Speaker Kofa is a Catholic, as from what I heard, and they were there representing, I would think, Liberia, because the president was there and he was there as a speaker. While there was an election held in his absence to bring in another guy. Then when the problem started, accusing of whatever bribery and conflict of interest, economic sabotage, and there's a whole laundry list out there that you can follow. But after that thing happened, we saw that the president recognized the current speaker, the majority black speaker, what's his name, Kun, who is now one of the speakers of the House that is not recognized by ECOWAS. I must state this because I have read communication from ECOWAS Parliament that they don't recognize him. And then the president recognized them because he submitted a budget to them. And this is a fact, that is not my opinion. But he gave a budget to that group and the budget was passed. So that shows that he have identified or recognized that group. And besides, the Solicitor General let him recognizing that group as well. And besides that, to give another point, he gave his SONA address to this particular group. So those three instances, from my opinion, from my observation, that shows that the president have recognized the majority black speakership. That is another.
And see, that seems to be. Thank you so much, Mr. Sabolosia. That seems to be the issue we have, right? Where you have laid out. But if we come down to Mr. Sheriff, who is on the ground in Liberia, struggling with internet facility, we can, for the background that Mr. Sapolosia have laid, one will be wondering, the Supreme Court did have a ruling on the 6th of December. So from the 6th of December to this day, we have in April, did the president not know that these things were going on in the country? Was he not concerned about this allegation? So why is it that at the last meeting, the time we start hearing this, and it's allegation, it's alerts, we want to tell our audience out there, those of you who join Liberia, Freedom FM, it is alert. The Supreme Court made a decision on the 6th of December. Why is it that it's now that we're hearing now the Supreme Court, the president start talking to the judges? Why didn't he talk to the judges on the 6th of December when many of us in the country are wondering, or many people in Liberia are wondering, what is actually the decision of the Supreme Court? Why didn't the president talk at that time?
But Mr. George, I want to say this. Before my internet goes out, I want to say this. There is no win-win situation here for the president, right? Because I remember vividly when we were back in December, one of the questions that we were asking was, with all of the chaotic moments that were taking place in the House of Representatives were protesting, people were boycotting meetings, and the fire came, and all of these things that were taking place, we were asking questions. Where is the president? When is he going to get involved? When is he going to say something? The president waited until, the new year we came in, January came, February came. The president came in, I think it was March or April, when this involvement started. Actually, it was very overt, because the president were having these secret meetings with the people, talking to people here and there. One person to his house, two people to his house, having these smaller meetings. And now that the president is engaged Again, like I don't know the details, but now that he is engaged, now we are crying foul again. We are saying the president should have never gotten involved. Look, the president does have an agenda. He does have a goal, and he does have policies that he wants to make sure those policies are implemented. If the president have to sit here from now to December with none of his agenda, none of his goals being met, it is a waste of a whole year. And these lawmakers, they are not helping our communities. They are not doing anything by doing this. So something got to give.
I will be praying for you because you are raising points that is confusing the rest of us on the panel now. You know, because you're saying that, oh, the president has the agenda. Didn't the president have the agenda? Was a budget not passed by this group that he's trying to interfere to have come from? Didn't he pass the budget? Didn't he travel with this speaker to where, Ghana or something like this? There's a quote unquote or speaker. Didn't he travel with his speaker? Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Sherry.
No, so, he sure did. He sure did. You're making He sure did. The trip was taken, and again, when the president came back, I think that was the beginning of this whole collusion, if you will. That was the whole beginning of why is the president getting involved? Why is he doing this? The point I was trying to stress here is when all of the commotion was taking place, we were complaining, why is the president not getting involved? Now that he is quote unquote involved, we are having a problem with it.
Yeah,
where does it
end? We're not getting involved, Mr. Sherry. We'll put you on the spot before I go to Mr. Sapolosia. We're talking about him not getting involved. Didn't the president and as Speaker Kofa went to Rome to pray together? Were they not supposed to come back as people?
But that was after the people. That was after the uproar. That was after the uproar when people were complaining.
Interference now with you. So when he came, if you and myself go to Mecca to pray now, that my Muslim brother are getting ready to go to pray. If we go to pray, we're coming back and things are happening. Won't you come to say, "Oh, brother, we're praying in Mecca, then continue praying with this situation"? Will you leave it to go for 6 months before you get involved? Or while you and myself praying, will you take the most important document, the budget that the people wanted to steal for? Will you take the budget and send it to the thieves that have already stolen over $3.5 billion?
No,
Mr. Sheriff, and because your internet,
Mr. George, trust me, I'm not disputing any of that. I'm not disputing any of the points you made.
I did, Mr. Sherry is stuck. Mr. Sapo,
but what I'm saying, at some point in time,
Sherry point, we're asking the yeah. Okay, go ahead.
No. I was saying at some point in time, the president has to be involved. And I think his involvement.
On the street for the best.
No, Sapolucia, go ahead. Make my point.
No, I think I'm getting Sheriff's point making, and I may not agree with it. But
yeah, we'll speak to Mr. Sapolucia. You don't go here, come out, go your internet, how to call it right now. Yeah, Mr. Sapolucia. Let's take Mr. Sheriff's point now that what he's hearing in the street, right? We argue, and I agree. I was on the show. We argued that why is it the president is not involved, right? But didn't this president get involved by sending the budget when he took the budget, the national budget, and sent it to the group of renegades? Was he not involved?
So I would take it from a different angle. Honestly, I actually wanted I wanted the president to be involved, but how his approach was going to be is not the way it is at this time. Okay, so I thought as a statement, as an elder in the room, you will put your two children together and talk to them. That's how I wanted the president to be involved. Unfortunately, that is not what worked out, and that's what makes it seem like the president has an agenda, according to if you go by what Sharif is saying, because he doesn't want to delay his agenda. He wants his gender or his whatever policies and stuff that he has. He wanted to come to fruition, so he needs to pick a side. For me, I thought initially he shouldn't have picked a side. He should have called both parties in the room and talk to them and see what common ground we can find and use the legal means of how these things are resolved.
Yeah, but Mr. Sapolucia, when the president visited,
Mr. George, George.
Yes.
Mr. George, I think I want to interrupt a little bit. little bit because
You get
here's the thing. I like Sabulisha's point that the president, bringing the people together to dialogue with ECOWAS. Wasn't there a mandate from ECOWAS to let these individuals know that they needed to put their house in order as well?
Well, but ECOWAS don't have.
That's what I was saying. But we don't look at ECOWAS. We talking. Yeah, you're right. There was a mandate from how they call it. But the question I want to put to you and Sapolucia is that when the Capitol building got burned and the president visited the Capitol building, he had just come from prayer meeting. He took Speaker Kofa to room for prayer meeting. They had come from the mountain top where they met the Holy Spirit through the act. He represented the Pope. But yet they stay. If you look at the video when the president went for the Capitol building program, he refused to go ahead. The president sat there like someone had given him control that body. Yeah, let me pass it to you guys.
But you see, Dr. George and Sharif, Dr. George and Sharif, this is what I would say on a serious note, though. It's not some of us don't know these people personally. I don't know President Boga personally, but for me, I like to address people's actions, not them, not the individual, but their actions. Okay. If you look at what's going on with the lawmakers, it takes you back to when we had the collaborating parties, political parties. Similar thing happened and similar action were taken. So you're not going to get anything different, in my opinion, just my observation. And this is a fact as well. There's a statement that in the collaboration political party, we saw this current president, part of that organization, as the oldest statement in that room, took side in that situation. Again, history is repeating itself in the lawmaking, in parliament, under his reign again, where there's conflict among his younger people, and instead of trying to bring them together, he is exemplifying exactly what he did when he was an opposition. So whether we want to judge him by these things or not, the fact remains that he tends to not be taking his position as we know it as Africans and as Liberians, that if we have an older person in the room, that older person try to resolve problem among his children. So that should be a concern to the Liberian people as well. Because what if our neighboring country come and attack us? What will he do? Will he seek the one that is seeking his interest or the Liberian people's interest? So those are. I mean, you guys will be looking at it from this thing and joking with it, but this is a very serious thing, especially for someone who got some other background that has to relate with the defense. It is important to look at. You are muted, Dr. George. Dr. George, you are muted.
Sorry. The point I'm trying to get through to Mr. Sharif now is that let's go back and bring Mr. Sharif on the ride.
One of the things I'm looking at Sabulisha is the whole idea of
man, the internet sucks.
Yeah, I was trying to look at is that was not different. That the president out of, but the fact that it was not a good president for the country at all.
I think the two of you, the internet is.
But gentlemen, I think next week what I will do, I just want to lend my voice. Next week, I think I'm going to go in studio. It's ready poor. So I will be in studio next week to join the show.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Sapolucia, let's continue to follow your point. Now, you were saying that it's national security thing, but we have a situation right now, right? We have come all the way to this end. We're hearing it's alert. And it's not only from that, because we have a newspaper, a clipping from first of all, one of the members of the Senate, Senator Che, have come strongly against this interference. He said, if what I'm hearing is true, that the president has asked the Supreme Court to postpone or defer his ruling on the bill of information, then that's a serious violation of the Constitution, right? This is Senator Che speaking. That will amount to an obstruction of justice. Any act of that interference will be that interferes with or impedes the dispensation of justice. So we have the situation on our hands. So yes, it's a lurch. Nobody fact that the president asked for deferment. It was expected that there was going to be a ruling, but again, to be fair with the president and the Supreme Court, there was nothing on the docket of the Supreme Court to say that that the president was how do you call it? The president that changed docket, that they were giving a ruling on that day. So if you have the situation, one, the Supreme Court, there's nothing on the Supreme Court docket to say that there was going to be a ruling on Wednesday. So we are not too sure whether this happened, whether it is natural or how to call it. But one thing we know for sure, the Supreme Court always tell ahead of time when they are going to have a sitting or what is the case that is on the docket for that day. But there was nothing on the docket for Wednesday. So looking at Senator Che and letter, with the background that the president, at the end of the bill of information, the president had called 2 of the justices of the Supreme Court, perhaps 3 of them. He tried to call, according to the stories that we get in Roma on the ground in Liberia, he tried to call the Chief Justice. She didn't pick up her phone. He called, I think, Justice Kabat to send a private car to take him to, and then talk to, I think, Justice Clinton, the very new justice on the court. I spoke to her, but the point was firm. So why now? The question that is coming out, why now? I mean, I agree with Mr. Sheriff. Many of us were calling for the president to intervene in December, but he was quiet. The reason we're calling that he had just come from praying with this brother, and perhaps they could have, with Fanatic Father, who had a conversation, but nothing happened at that time. And then he took the budget and gave the budget to the renegade group. So, and then ECOWAS had 2 visitations. In fact, there's a report, I think I heard that from Senator Snow, that the president was not very, very respectful. He was not very, very, let me not use the word respectful. The president was not very open to receiving the ECOWAS delegation in the country. So why now? Why do you think, in your mind, Mr. Sapolosio, why do you think the president wants to get involved at the 9th hour?
So it will go back to my initial point that I made when it comes to the way some of us were expecting him as an elder in the room to be involved, right? And since he did not go that route where he was going to serve as a mediator, since he did not go that route, and now that he's intervening for one side of the group, I feel that it's only to serve his interests, right? His agenda. But then it will bring a lot of questions if he's just doing it for his policies to go through or for his agenda to be accomplished. First of all, we still don't know. We don't have a clear cut of why Funati Kofa will remove from his speakership. Was it masterminded like it was done with Eddie Snow? Because I know Tyler will know what his schemes stem from. But with Eddie Snow, we know that it was engineered, in my opinion, from what we read in the newspaper by the president then. Why we didn't get the clear detail of that? And it's the same thing happening right now. Because some of the allegations we heard was he was economic sabotage, he has conflict of interest and all that stuff. But he had all those connections before you elected him as Speaker of the House. So it was not something new. It's not as to say he became Speaker and then he started doing his law firm started defending or representing these people that you're talking about. So it was nothing new. So there must be something there that they're not telling us that will either stop certain things from going because we're hearing about. There's echo.
Yeah, I think there's
So until let me move this.
I think the echo is coming from the positive.
Dr. Positive, I don't know what you're doing, but this is
give us echo.
So
Okay,
until we can get some of these clarification, it tells us there is something wrong, a lot of wrong thing going on here. Based on the actions of the president right now, and I'm using the word if because it is not proven, it is not a fact for that I know of. If he's kind of getting to talk to these justices, then in my opinion, that is judicial interference. And we know in the last, I don't know, for the longest that I can remember, our judicial system have always been tempered with by the executive, even the legislature. So when do we have at least some 80% democracy practice in Africa or in Liberia? Let me be specific. In Liberia, where the executive is not really interfering in the behavior in the other branches of government, so that we can have freedom of movement, so that we can have actual practice of democracy where the citizen will speak to the lawmakers and that no lawmakers will represent it in the house, where the judicial system will represent the people, where when they carry cases, it doesn't matter who is against, whether government official or the government, that person will know that, hey, this judicial system is going to serve justice, as they call it. And I personally don't go with the premise that justice is blind, because justice is blind. That is why I don't see a lot of true things coming out. If justice eyes were open, maybe it will see where the wrongs are. But that idea of justice is blind to whatever they want to say it is, I think that's what the problem is. But at this time, for the president to be involved in the way he's being involved, if it is true, I think it is not good for our system. It is not good for our political system. It is not good for our democracy. And it may lead us to the verge of what we went through in the 1990s. And some of us don't want that.
All right, gentlemen, I have Mr. Sharif in studio. He's on WhatsApp audio, so you guys can throw question at him if you want. He's listening to you.
Yes, sir. I'm here. I'm back.
Okay.
But
So
listening to Sabalu's point when he said he does not like the kind of way the president is involved right now. For me, I think it always goes back to the president's policy. Even in the great United States of America, I know we use this comparison most of the time. It always goes back to the president's agenda, his policies. He needs to be able to, 6 years seems to be like a long time. But presidents need to be able to meet their goals, their agenda, their policies, campaign promises, whatever the case will be. The president wants to make sure they meet those goals. And the longer it takes, they can't get anything going, whether because of the friction in the house, they will have to take drastic measures. And sometimes the way presidents do it, they either go and say, look, we're going to use our executive power and start signing some executive orders, or the veto. So, the president is, honestly, I don't have a problem with his involvement, because we were complaining that he was not coming forth. And now that he's doing it, it is wrong for the system, because that is not a proper procedure. That's not a proper protocol to have used. But something drastic had to take place. And really, I don't have a big problem with it at all.
So, Mr. Sharif, if I may ask you, Dr. George, let me ask this, brother. So, at what cost? Is it you want your policies? Let's say President Barker wants to build a highway from Monrovia all the way to River Cess, a paved full-lane road. And the only way he can get it is to pass through this current lawmakers to get it done. But what the essence of it, if that road, at the time he built that road, in the next 2 months, the country is going to run into chaos that will destroy that road and will not be useful for the next 20, 30 years. My question is, at what cost do you want to accomplish your policy?
That is what I will be very, very careful with. While it is true that there are some young people in the country who have never experienced war, who might be excited about causing chaos, but there are more Liberians in the country who have experienced war, who do not want to see that happen again. So despite all of the upheavals, all the ups and downs, Liberians have been very, very careful to make sure that we do not have a repeat of what happened in the past. I don't foresee that to ever be the case. There might be protests and all of these things. But what I'm saying here at this point in time is I truly believe the cost is not going to be as great as maybe we may think. I don't think there's going to be anything that Liberians going to do to say, let's stop another fight because the president got to, the agendas have to go. Sapolicia will be doing this all year long. They will be doing this all year. You can come and scream. Jason Sibo then come and scream. And all these people scream and nothing is taking place. The everyday people in the country, they are the ones suffering. Because
no, but something was taking place, Mr. Sherry. Something was taking place. The Supreme Court had a bill of information. The Supreme Court is about to give the verdict for the whole story to come to an end. But instead of accepting this, we have a president who have decided that it's time for me to make sure that this thing comes to an end. So no. So we have a Supreme Court that have already taken a bill of information. That us needed to play out. He had all the opportunity he had to make this thing correct. He and this gentleman went to Rome to pray. They met the Pope. The Pope prayed with the two of them. The Pope gave them the Christian Bible. The Christian Bible says you should love your brother. The two of them flew on the same plane, came back to maybe they didn't come out together on the same plane, but they came back. Now this situation happened. The president was silent. Then he passed the budget. When the Capitol building got burned, the president came and someone gave him controllable. He was not that pleasant to Speaker Kofa. In fact, he had Richard Kuhn sitting next to him instead of Speaker Kofa sitting next to him. The brother that he went to pray for, the man who he didn't pray with, he had a man sitting beside him. The man he prayed with, he had a man all the way on the other side. The man who he and him went to the mountaintop together, he refused that brother. He refused the brother. He went to another person. So now we have. Then this gentleman went to the bill of information. The Supreme Court heard it, and it was very glaring in that bill of information for what we had on the conversation last week. That fact, the justices seem to be leaning towards Mr. Kofa. So why can the president just lay down and sleep and say, okay, I'm waiting for the thing to come to an end, and then everything will end? Why would he want to get into it right now?
Okay, so Dr. George, here's my answer to that question.
Yes,
like
sir.
Many things that the Supreme Court have done since the genesis of this particular program, the Supreme Courts have been very, for lack of a better word, they have been very ambiguous. They have not come forward to say, look, here is the clear-cut answer. The very first time this court was brought into the fray to talk about these different things, they did not come out to say, look, Kofa, you are the speaker. Richard Kuhn, stop taking the speakership. They were not clear about that. They gave this whole antivirus thing, I call it antivirus. And that became the terminology that Liberians and everybody in the political circle were talking about around town. They did not.
But is it not true, Mr. Sharif? Is it not true? Is it not true? Is it not true, Mr. Sharif, that the Supreme Court said to the bill of information, the Chief Justice, to the bill of information, the Chief Justice said this, and she was very clear. She asked the lawyer, said, what is so difficult about this? We are saying, if the laymen don't understand the law, you lawyers should know that our verdict was very plain, that it was wrong for you to have a sitting without a speaker. This Chief Justice said it. I think 2 or 3 times she tried to tell Councilor Sherman that you people who are lawyers, why is it so difficult for you to understand this language that we spoke?
That was after the entire country was actually raising concern that we got no clear answer. Because remember, when that verdict was given, you have both parties, the minority bloc and the majority bloc. Both of those people, they left that particular hearing declaring victory. You remember that, Dr. George?
I remember that the question that I'm posing to you now, during the bill of information conversation, the Chief Justice, she said it 3 times, 3 or 4 or 5, many times she said it. She said that if the unlearned people like you and myself, those are all who are not learned, if we were the one having problems, then she will understand it. Why would the learned lawyers have problems? Why was so difficult? That's why she quoted it several times. She said, why was it so difficult for lawyers to understand this simple thing that we wrote?
The thing, Dr. George, the thing was not for the lawyers. I mean, forgive me. I don't want to disparage our lawmakers, but you have people who are lawmakers who are actually in the House of Representatives or who are actually in the Senate. Those people, forgive me, I will keep saying it. And those lawmakers, they gotta forgive me. But they mean, if it was serious country, some of those people would not be lawmakers. I'm sorry.
Wow.
If it was a serious country, the Yeka Kolubas, he can call me and call my mom. I have no problem with that. The Yeka Kolubas and the other people, they would not be lawmakers if this was a serious country. So do you expect those people to go and interpret a judicial writing coming from professional lawyers to say yes? That is why when they left that hearing, they were all confused. And they kept saying,
Mr. Sherry will let Mr. Sabolosia not feel so unhappy that we're not talking to him. But we'll come to you. Let me come to Mr. Sabolosia. Mr. Sabolosia, the lawyer for the how they call it, for the people who call themselves majority black. The lawyer is one of the most successful, most renowned lawyers in Liberia, who went to Harvard University Law School, came back and attended law school in Liberia, made millions of dollars because he had one of the best law firms in Liberia. So do you want to tell me that he did not understand a word of what Chief Justice Yo was saying? That look, why is it so difficult? Because she was emphatic in that conversation. Why is it so difficult for you people to interpret this simple thing? I mean, when I heard her saying it 3 times, it caught me that this lady is trying to tell you people didn't know law properly. Mr. Sapolosia.
Yeah, so let's look at the verdict from December, or the opinions from December. One thing Mr. Sherry is not pointing out is, yes, we all were not happy because we felt that the Supreme Court did not give a clear answer. But let us not forget what they put at the end of that statement. They said, we do not want to interfere in your internal matter. That was, we're washing our hands out of your case. Take it back to your house and resolve it. Let us not forget, the legislature is a house of elders. So if somebody is telling you, take your issues back to your house and resolve it, they thought, in my opinion, in my observation, that the Supreme Court felt that these people should be mature enough, since they were there to represent the people, to resolve this little internal matter that is there. But instead, they took 2-3 months, they did not resolve it, and they came back for the second time, and this is what we're talking about today. Now that we have come back to this point, there is no excuse. Mr. Sharif can give all the excuses you want to give for the current administration or whatever. There is no excuse for him to interfere. Okay, it's a clear stuff. It's a clear opinion that was put out that, look, you guys did not follow the Constitution. Okay, give us a chance and let's give the verdict. The president have waited for 3 or 4 months. His agenda was still going on because his budget was passed. Teacher salary, they're talking about paying teacher salary. He met with the Teachers Association when the student went on strike. So his government was still running and he was still leaving the country and coming back. So there was still, the foreign minister was leaving the country and coming back. The finance minister was still meeting with foreign dignitaries or IMF or World Bank. So there was nothing that was stopping the president's agenda. So I don't want Mr. Sherry to use that as an excuse of why he's interfering, because all along with this process, the president agenda, his role, the yellow machine, they still renegotiated. And I want to point out some things to tell Mr. Sherry that the president agenda did not stop. The yellow machine, they were still discussing about another new agreement for yellow machine to come back in. They were still discussing about the road work that go on, the how to call it, highway. In fact, right now as you speak, Mr. Sherry, I think you drove on that road. The Ralphie Highway is still continuing. The job is still going on. JFK, they were still trying to find funding to help JFK improve the healthcare sector. So there is nothing that is stopping this president from doing his job to interfere in the internal conflict that is going on at this time at the House. So there is no excuse for Mr. Sherry to make for that particular as an excuse for the president. I don't see it.
Mr. Sherry, don't mind Mr. Sapolosia. What you say? What are you the president talking about?
I like the fact that we do not agree on this particular point. I like the fact. But look,
Okay.
when it comes down to, I know one of the questions that Dr. George kept asking was, what was hindering the president? I think he mentioned the president, the budget. Why did the president go and have this budget and all of that? When it comes to the budget, though, we all know that this budget, it is not so much about everything else that the president wants to do to meet his policy goals and all of that. Part of that budget is community development, is national development budget, is a lot of different things that are in our budget. The everyday people in Liberia, those everyday people have to be able to benefit from the national budget. And if that budget is not signed,
how did they benefit? Because the budget went with 3 GSP and 3.5 million got missing.
They cannot carry out their community investment. They cannot do things for the community. And so it was very, very, very important that the budget is passed.
But you should also point the point, Mr. Sharif, because you're making great points. You should also point the point that they had to pay the hotel bill at RLJ also.
But those are the reality, you know, and that's what. But Mr. Sharif, we still
have to pay the hotel bill at RLJ also, so the budget had to pass.
No, you got to repeat the question. Repeat the question.
No, I'm saying one of the points that you're not making the Liberian people to hear, for those who are listening to also Facebook, YouTube, Freedom FM, it is 7.9. They didn't also not have to put a hotel bill in our budget, the bill for RLJ.
But I mean, that's always, you know, I'm not going to go into the details of that. But what I do know, though, the national budget had to pass in order for projects that were earmarked for those projects to be able to go through.
So how did the payment of the hotel bills at RLJ impact the local government?
Dr. George. So I'm just see, Mr. Sherry is just proving my point. The reason why the president had no right to interfere with the current status of this of this process, because his budget was passed, regardless of whether he interfered or not. His programs are still ongoing, regardless of whether he interfered. Let the judicial system do her job.
Maybe one of the problems we have, Mr. Sapolo, is that it's very possible that Speaker Kofa did not know how to pray. So perhaps when they were praying in Rome, he said some words in the prayer that the president was not happy with. So maybe that's the situation. But I mean, I know we argue with it and we can agree with Mr. Sharif.
Dr. George, let me say this real quick. Dr. George and Sample, I'm going to interrupt you because I'm the guest on the show today, so I'm sorry. Let me interrupt you. Let me say this. Let me say this for a second, okay? In the great United States of America, I keep going back because that's the country you live in, and that is exactly what you've referenced. In the great United States of America, when the budget was actually between, we almost had a government shutdown just recently in the United States because the House and the Senate and all of these people, they could not agree on a budget. Somebody is saying, what's in the budget? We don't want this budget. We need to add my bill. President Trump is saying, you need to add this or remove this. The president of the United States of America, he got involved. He called out his speaker. He called out people. And you know our president, sometimes he will use threats. He'll say, look, if you don't do this, I'll make sure you lose your seat. The president got involved. Was that his place to get involved in that? No. But he got involved. And they were able to push the budget. Democrats did not want to touch it. They did not vote for it. But because the president had more people in the great United States of America, he got involved, pushed his people, he said, pass the thing. And they passed the budget.
Did they have two speakers in the House at that
exactly.
time?
Those are two different things, Mr. Sherry. Those are two different things you compare.
Mr. Sherry, who are the second speaker besides Speaker Johnson?
That's presidential involvement. You say, Bwaka already had, Bwaka had to be involved to get his budget passed.
Yeah, but there were two speakers. One of the speakers went to the Golden Mountain to pray with Bwaka. The other speaker did not go to the mountain. He went to Bon County, somewhere on the highway there to pray. So the question I'm asking you now is that were there two speakers in the U.S. House? I mean, nobody's saying the budget is the president's agenda.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But there was still friction in the House. There was
yes. I mean, the budget is the president's agenda. Every president have the right to push their agenda through the budget. But the issue here that we are discussing is that there were two speakers. There were two speakers, and the president gave his budget. In fact, if the bill of information comes to an end and Funanti Kofa wins, that budget is an illegal document. That budget is going to be an illegal document. And you and myself can sue the Liberian government for implementing the budget.
And that is why they have ratification. If it becomes a voided budget, everything that we gave out, then we still go back to the same saga, and we have to now go back to the drawing board and say, okay, let's restructure the budget. And you know who's going to suffer? The Liberian people.
My name is Emmanuel George. I'm being joined by Mr. Emmanuel Sapolosi and Mr. Augustine Sharif. We are having another edition of Liberation Rise. Today is Table Talk, where we just go around the issues and have conversation and debate on the issues. And we are discussing this evening and this afternoon, what part of the world you find yourself. We are discussing the presidential interference with the judiciary, the Bill of Information judgment that it was speculated that it would have been passed on Wednesday, but there's speculation, an allegation that the president had called two of the justices on the day that the case was heard, and then he has spoken to the justices to delay the verdict until he has personally intervened. We have argued, is the president overreach his power? Now, I have two of my awesome panelists, Mr. Emmanuel Sapolosia and Mr. Augustine Sharif, have discussing this issue. So I'm coming back to you, Mr. Sapolosia. You hear Mr. Sharif point that, the president's agenda will not be met. The Liberian people will not get development. Yet instead, there was a hotel bill for RLJ that was paid for that budget. Did that benefit the Liberian people? What's the situation now? Because the budget may end up being an illegal document, just in case the Bill of Information final verdict gets out and it's in favor of the minority black. Speaker Kofa could say, look, we did not pass this budget. It was against the law to pass the budget. And then we go back to square one. What's your thought on that?
So, Dr. George, before I come to that, this is something that, politicians use. Sherry said he's not a politician, but he's speaking like one today. Politicians use these phrases, these catchphrases and they use that as sound bites for their audiences or their constituencies to hear. He kept using the word, the budget has to be passed so that they can meet, quote unquote, the needs of the Liberian people. Who Liberian people? Teachers are not getting paid. Nurses are not getting paid. And I know the last time I checked, we do not have any social welfare in Liberia where when the citizens need assistance, the government will call check and give to them. We don't have that in Liberia. The clinics in Liberia are paid for service or pay. That is, I pay for.
But how you say we don't have that one for the 3 lawmaker hotel bills are paid by the government of Liberia?
And that's what I'm saying. Those catchphrases that they put in there all the time, politicians do, so that their audiences can feel that the people are in their interest. Most of these budgets that are passed in Liberia, in my opinion, from my own assessment, when I look at and read those budgets, the ones that go to the little man, Liberian man package, besides those that are teaching and working for government, the Yana boy, I was Yana boy before. I never got the benefit of that. Ever. I don't remember getting anything. Besides walking in the street all day, the only benefit we got maybe was money circulating in the society. And when we sell our candle or whatever we sell, we get that in return. That is it. But there is no social services that I know of that is in Liberia that somebody can say, today I'm sick, I'm going to the hospital and I will get free treatment. It's not there. So I don't know which social services Mr. Sharif is talking about. I don't know.
Mr. Sharif, what the social services had to be in those budgets? I think one of them were paying the bills for the hotel bills for the 3 lawmakers that were in RLJ. That was a unique social service for the 3 person, but they didn't pay a damn.
So, Mr. George, Mr. Sapolucia, I do not represent the government. I do not speak for the government, but I will say this: the government, the government itself have just hit a roadblock. Whether the government admits it or not, the government hits a roadblock. We both know that one of the things that are taking place now is this scrambling thing. They're trying to find money because they were really, really dependent, which is a poor thing for any government to do. It's a poor thing for any government to do, to depend on other people to take care of that business. The government got to a roadblock. They were depending on usage funding. They're getting money from education, getting money from, for housing. They were getting money for health. They were getting money from all of these different social services that's taking place. But as you drive around Monrovia, South Police for social services, one of the biggest social services that were taking place was this public awareness. I see a lot of billboards, public awareness, educating people that, look, when you are pregnant, please do not have delivery at home. The billboards are everywhere. Every corner you see, there's this messaging that is taking place. That was one of the big things that was being funded. That's a public service. They have another service that talk about how to care for your health, do all of these different checkups, and that is all over the place here now. You and myself were here last year. We did not see that, but I see it, and I'm impressed by what I see so far. That is social service. Now, when it comes to the whole thing that Dr. George is talking about, paying RLJ and all of that, look, the people were doing the people's job. If lawmakers have to go to a hotel, go to a conference hall to do some people's work, to do the Liberian people work, of course, they need to be lodged. If I have a nonprofit that I'm heading and I'm traveling, the nonprofit is going to be paying for my transportation costs and my hotel.
So where they living right now? Where they living right now? Don't they have houses they renting in Monrovia that will pay electricity for all the gas slip we can get it? So they had to go to the hotel now to do our job. That they wouldn't play go stay going in there.
No, I mean, they went for conference. I mean, they were at the conference hall. All of these things are taking place, Dr. George. And I think they were working for the Liberian people. Now, the only time I will ever speak against such a thing, if for some reason you can prove to me that the hotel they went to, Boaca has a share in that hotel, and there was a kickback to Boaca directly, where he was directly or indirectly benefiting from that money that was paid to that hotel, then we can come and pressure the old man and say, look, corruption in the highest office. But
and it's a great point making, Mr. Sherry. I really like your point. So the issue here now is that then why is the president interfering? If the people were in the hotel, he paid a bill for them, he feel they were doing the right thing. It was benefiting Liberian people. Why is he so jittery with a bill of information Friday? Because it seems that the president is running, haters scattered now, he paints his hat, and things are tough for him, and he's trying to interfere. So if everything is going good and the people are singing Komaya in Monrovia, why is he interfering now?
Okay,
allegedly
good question. He is doing exactly what we were asking him. Why was he not involved? The old man sat for almost 3-4 months. When this thing started, he never did anything. And we were all in uproar, ups and arms. When is he going to speak? When is he going to do something? ECOWAS came in. They said, look, you guys need to do something. Supreme Court, when is the president going to speak on the issue? And the president is
now. I see you shaking your head. I mean,
so he's trying to get his house in order. He cannot run a country that is divided. Look, the country is polarized, I get it. But something must be done to unite the country. Whether this is the means that bring the country together,
he's not uniting the country, Mr. Sherry.
In one direction, I mean, look, I have no problem with it. Honestly.
Mr. Sherry,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we gotta be real. He's not uniting the country. He's just dividing the country more. Because the fact that he's seeing that the verdict is not going the way he wanted, that is why he's interfering. He's not interfering because he wants to solve the problem. So he's not going to make the country more polarized. So, Mr. Sherry, look, we gotta be real and we gotta be realistic about these things. The judicial system was in charge. They have already evaluated the situation. They have made assessment. They have done their debate. The lawyers of the so quote unquote majority bloc was there representing them. That's why our judicial system was built. He or she represented them to the fullness, and at the end of the day, The judicial system said, look, you know what? Based on what you have provided us, your so-called evidences that you have provided us, we don't think your group made the right decision. At this time, no other person had any interference. No other person needed to even interfere. So the president had no right to step in at this time.
But
All
don't
he
you
had
think,
to
Mr.
do,
Sapolosia, that it's very possible that since when they came back from Rome, the Pope was not too well, he was incapacitated for a time. Now that the Pope is okay, the Pope may have called the president to say, no, that prayer I prayed for the two of you was a very important, significant prayer. There's a need for you to get your house together. Don't you think so?
oh, but then that makes it even better. Okay, not for him to interfere, because if the Pope had prayed for them, then let the Holy Spirit intervene and do it. He doesn't have to work on behalf of God. So if you are relying on God to do the job, nobody should be working for God. Let God do his job. He didn't have to go and start calling people. No, let God do the job. If you're going to put it in God's hand, let God turn the justices heart around and say, oh yeah, what we said in that room, let us disregard it because God has spoken to us. He, the president, don't have to do God's job. No.
Well,
the point you're making, the point that I truly believe that you are missing, no government can function with a divided house. Now, if I understand the point you're making that, he is bringing about division more. I get it. But this government cannot function with a divided house. We can't have the Yeke Kolubas and everybody else running around and causing man all day, and then you expect the president's agenda to go through. It doesn't work. So
it happened during George Weah time. It happened during George Weah time. I have never stopped government from functioning. It happened during Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I have never stopped government from functioning. So if that's the premise you're making, Mr. Sherry, you just feel your own argument, because that is not accurate.
The dysfunction in this government now, it did not go to the extent that we saw during Ellen time. It's
because of the president's current involvement, because the president's involvement all leading to this point. If he had taken the right step, it wouldn't have gone to this point. But because now the president is involved, is exacerbating the whole process. It's making it worse.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you so much for being a part of this broadcast. This is Liberation Rise Table Talk. We have been having conversation with Mr. Emmanuel Sapolosia and Mr. Augustin Sheriff. We have been discussing the Bill of Information and the alleged presidential interference with the Bill of Information, asking for the judiciary to put a stay on their judgment or opinion until to give him 2 weeks to settle the issue. Now, it has been a robust conversation. Mr. Sapolosia believed that the president erred if the allegation is true, and Mr. Sherry believed that the president was doing the right thing, because we on this platform have been calling him to intervene since October. Whatsoever the position is, that this is the position that we're going to take, that it is the ninth meeting right now. The president had traveled with Mr. Kofa, to Rome. He came back. Since October, this thing been going on. There were many times and many opportunities for the president to put it hard and have a conversation. We know he had one or two conversations. Perhaps it did not materialize. But for Liberia to be a strong nation, it's very important for us to realize that we have to take care of our differences. We cannot have a divided house with two speakers. We believe on this platform that though we appreciate the tenacity of the tenacious work of Mr. Speaker Fonati Kofa, but he may realize that he doesn't have the moral authority to lead us, because many of the colleagues are not supporting him. On the other hand, Speaker Kuhn should also realize that his rise to speakership is completely illegal, and he should relinquish this so that the right thing can be done. Until we meet again next week Sunday, when we're going to be having the managing director of the chief executive officer of EcoBank being here with us to discuss on This Could Be You. We wish you all a wonderful afternoon. We look forward to seeing you next week Sunday at 7 p.m. Liberian time at the same station for conversation. But thank you for joining us on Freedom FM 87.9, YouTube, and Facebook. My name is Emmanuel George. Have a great night.